brothers and sisters. This is Brother West coming back to you again. And I got another word. I got another prophetic word for you. I want to greet you in the name of the Lord, and I want to get right to it. And so I'm going to recap. Now, before, one of the messages that God spoke to me concerning you and it's from during the time of Moses, when there was a hit out on every firstborn, and that every firstborn would be killed. And so, but with Moses, his mother was able to put him on the Nile, and while he was on the Nile, Pharaoh's daughter saw him. And when she saw him and opened up the crib, or opened up the thing that she was, that the baby was in, that Moses was in, Moses began to cry. And in his tears, she saw him and had compassion on him and drew him out of that river. And I talked about that, how God has drawn us out of bad places, out of bad situations. But also, I also talked about how there are certain things that God is holding back. He's holding back certain things. He's holding back certain destructions. He's holding back certain things from happening until those that are chosen of God get in line, and that there's certain things that need to be pruned. And so and I talked about and mentioned in harvest time there's a separation between the wheat and the tare. The chaff will be separated from the wheat. And we know in scripture where the wicked won't be separated from the righteous. But what I was talking about in specific was those that name the name of Christ, that God's hand is upon. God is sifting even out of you. He's sifting out of the poison. He's sifting out things, mistakes, cobwebs, attachments, ungodly soul ties. God is pruning you and pruning it out of you, out of your life. That way you might be meat for the master's use. And so there's a pruning that's taking place. And so now what I want to talk about, if I can, is an awakening. An awakening. That's the word. There is an awakening that's taking place in God's people. There is an awakening. There is it's like the calm before the storm. That's what's happening in many lives. It's almost like something's been compressed or backed up. It's like something being stopped up, like some pressure, some water from a dam being stopped up. But there comes a point when there comes a trickling, when the water began to flow and begin to come out of that thing that's blocking. And then what happens? Then the whole thing breaks open. And that's what I see in the spirit. There's going to be some blessings. There's going to be some breakthroughs that's going to break forth. That's going to come forth. And what God is going to do, God is going to reveal. This is an hour, and this is a day and season where God is going to reveal himself. And just like when I was talking about the other things, what I've been hearing are feet. And what I mean by that is by feet, what I've been hearing and what I've been seeing is that feet, when you think about feet, you think about walking. In this sense, what I see is an army of God, messages from God with many feet. And what they're doing, they're bringing your blessing. They're bringing your healing. They're bringing your breakthrough. They're bringing your victory. And so you're not alone. You're not alone at all. And so what's going to happen? God is going to reveal to you who's been beside you and who's been watching over you all this time. Just like in 2 Kings 6 chapter and the 16th, 17th verse, where Elisha and his servant were surrounded by the enemies. And the enemy and his servant asked Elijah, what are we going to do? And he was afraid. And so what Elijah did, he prayed that God open up his eyes that he can see what he saw. And as he prayed, the young lad eyes opened. And what that young lad eyes saw was God's army surrounding the mountain, ready to fight, and their weapon, their sword dipped in fire. And so God is about to reveal himself. Matter of fact, what I hear and what I see a dial. And it's like when you're cooking something, you put it on different temperature. You got low, you got medium, and you got high. You got max. And so at one time it was at medium. And so what I saw in the spirit, I saw the hand of God turn up the dial. The heat done turned up. The pressure done turned up. And see, it's interesting because I'm reminded of the 3 Hebrew boys that refused to bow down to the king's God. And as a matter of fact, the king threatened to put them in the light, put them in the fiery furnace, and they didn't mind, because what they said was that you can put us in there, we will not bow, because our God is able to deliver us out of this flame. And you know what he said also? If he don't, we surely know he can. And so they had a confidence in them while in their flame, because what happened when they got in that furnace, the king told them to turn it up 7 times hotter. And many of your lives, the enemy done turned stuff up 7 times hotter. Everything in your life is on fire. It's flaming. You don't want to touch it. It's high. And that's why the anxiety, that's why the stress is there. But them Hebrew boys, you know what they did? They were so confident. When they turned the heat up, they went in there and they went in trusting in God. They went in blessing his name. They went in being steadfast, and their mind was fixed on him. And because their mind was fixed on him, the king had to look again. And when the king looked again, the king saw a 4th person in that thing, in that furnace with him. And that 4th person looked like the Son of Man. And so you need to know the dial done turned up, and the pressure's high. See, but the pressure's not high from your trials and tribulations. It's not what's going on with you. The pressure is high because God's presence is here. God's presence is backing you. And see, the enemy's trying to get you to look at your pressure. The enemy's trying to look at your situation, your circumstance, when God is right there. And all you got to do is open up your eyes and wake up. See, there's coming an awakening. God is opening your eyes up. God is giving you an epiphany. God is giving you a Damascus Road experience. You're about to have a head-on collision with your purpose. You're about to have a head-on collision with change, with deliverance, with break. You've been praying that God set you free. You've been praying that God heal me. Everybody else is happening for everybody else, but God, when it's going to be my turn? Well, God says your turn. You are next. It's time to be delivered. You are next to receive your breakthrough. And also I mentioned about in prophecy about walking into something, walking into a breakthrough, walking into healings, walking into the newness of life, walking into breakthroughs, walking into happiness, walking into love, walking into restoration. And so you're walking into a large room, but in this large room, you're walking into an ocean. You're walking into an ocean. You're walking into a ocean. You're walking into the presence of God. You're walking into his likeness. You're walking into his glory. You're walking into his choices, blessings. Hear what I'm saying? Gotta go. God bless you.